Okay, so I gotta ask, that mat, how hard is it? It sounds really loud, right?
Yeah, it is not soft. Put it that way. The first time I was telling you about getting in the ring that first
Yeah,
time and hitting the,
that clothesline.
I literally like my head's spinning. I'm like, oh my gosh, is that what it feels like every single time?
Welcome back to another episode of the Real Deal Landman Show. I am Jerris Johnson. Drew Hopkins is typically a host. Today he is not, so you don't get to talk yet until I turn some time over to you.
Understood.
Yeah, you just broke the rule.
Sorry.
You just did it again. This isn't that hard. You don't talk until I point to you or say you can talk. Got it? Thank you. Okay, awesome. So I am happy to be back in our OKC studio and obviously joined by a couple of special guests today, Drew Hopkins being one of them. The other one we will introduce here in a moment. We want to thank the Dallas-Fort Worth chapter of the National Association of Lease and Title Analysts for inviting us to do this special recording of our Real Deal Landman Show podcast. I have traveled to Oklahoma City to be able to do this, which means we need to give a special shout out to our travel sponsor, Pack Energy. They are helping with the logistics to make this possible. We're excited to have Pack as a partner with us for select engagements, especially for our audience today who specialize in land or land administration. You're going to want to take a look at the things that they do. In addition to their software and services, they also create great content with special guests, and you can check all that out on the resources section of packenergy.com. So this episode and event is multiple firsts. One being this is our first live webinar that we've ever done. We've done some live engagements before with people, but we've never done a webinar like this. This is Drew's first time being a guest on his own show and to tell an amazing story that I am excited to hear as well. I will also say this is the first time we've ever planned an episode, our content in terms of what we're going to talk about. We usually don't do a whole lot of planning. And a lot of thought went into this because we wanted this one to be really special. Because Drew can't be a host or a guest without having a partner, he brought a lifeline with him today. So, Drew, you may now speak. Please introduce who you have brought with us.
That was so hard for me.
I know.
The last couple minutes was so hard
I could see
for
little
me.
beads of sweat.
No, absolute beads of sweat.
Yeah.
I have to talk.
Yeah.
No, I am really happy about this. Like Jerris said, we planned this out for a long time, and it's a weird episode. It's a weird combination of things that we're going to talk about, but we were going to talk a little bit professional wrestling today. And that's a little off kilter for sure. And Jerris is going to kind of get us into that. But sitting to my left here is, I want to say a local celebrity in Oklahoma City.
Before we started, I was looking over things here, but I heard you guys talking about the necessity of signing autographs at the state fair. So no one has ever asked me for an autograph before.
So
Wait till after the show.
and it comes with a price too. So Oklahoma City's own News Channel 9 morning anchor, Colby Thelen, has joined us today. You can see Colby every morning in Oklahoma City on News Channel 9 from 4 a.m. until
4 to 7.
Good night.
So you got to get up early.
That's it. Just for the Texas people, I'm sure you can find it online. Record it, watch every episode. I mean, this guy's charming. This is a tall slice of handsome sitting next to me. And how would we have a news anchor in here unless there was some sort of additional tie-in with that? But I know I don't get to ask questions, but the first thing, Colby, every morning at 4 o'clock, you sit in front of a multi-million-dollar studio. Can you very briefly describe the not so multi-million-dollar studio that you might be sitting in right now?
I love it. It took me a second to find it, but
Right?
Unfortunately, Drew's very tall, so I saw him come out the door. It was easy. The lighting, I think you guys have done a great job. You've done an excellent job.
This is, I don't want to give away all the secrets, but there is a lot of Amazon orders that happen like 24 hours before the shows. I don't know how News Channel 9 does it. I would assume something similar.
Yeah.
Probably not the same budget, though.
Yeah, when we were building out our studio, we saw a few Amazon boxes.
There you go. There you go. Absolutely. Well, the connection that I have with Colby is started off because of wrestling. And I think you're really going to enjoy hearing a little bit of his story going into it. But what we want to do is we want to make sure that this is meaningful for you. And we want to be able to say there are tie-ins with just about everything. There's tie-ins with the hobbies that we have. There's tie-ins with the things that we do outside of work. And one of the things that I've found most impactful for my life is finding something outside of work that makes you faster, makes you more creative, and makes you more excited each day. And this is one of those things.
Yeah.
So
So I'll share how we got into having this conversation. I've known Drew for many years, and we've worked together on a variety of different things, and obviously we've been doing this for a while. And a few months ago, I started getting some questions from people, and they were asking, when are you going to talk about the wrestling? And I was flabbergasted. I didn't even know what to say. I was like, what are you talking about? The wrestling. When are you guys going to talk about the wrestling? And I said, I don't even know what this is about. And they said, you know, when are you going to talk about the wrestling deal that that Drew does? And this was total news to me. And so I asked you about it, and you said, yes, I have a little venture thing that I'm doing. But I said, don't tell me anything else, because I want to be able to save this for an additional episode where I would
Right.
get to ask you about this wrestling venture as to what it is. So give us a rundown. What is the wrestling thing that people keep asking me to ask you about?
So let me take your question. Let me ask you both. Did you ever watch Jerris? Did you ever watch any pro wrestling as a kid?
I did.
You did. What year?
This would have
70s,
been
60s, or late 60s? Sorry.
No, this would have been late 80s.
Late 80s.
Yeah.
So in the Undertaker era, the Jake the Snake Roberts, stuff like that. Any wrestlers really stand out to you?
So my best friend growing up was huge into it. And so
Wow.
there were like two leagues, right? Like there was the WWF,
Yeah.
and then there was NWA, maybe, or
Incorrect.
Okay.
But there was WCW and WWF. That's right. Or NWA. Yes, NWA was a thing a little earlier. But yeah, so you were watching kind of the old school, kind of that, I don't want to say the golden era, but kind of the initial area that was starting to get popular. And Colby, when did you really get into it?
I think it was all around me as a kid. Obviously,
Right.
the Attitude Era is the time you were the late 90s. You're referring to that period, Stone Cold and The Rock. So it was always, but I didn't really start watching until probably 2004, 2005. So
Gotcha.
big wrestlers I latched onto: Shawn Michaels,
Big time.
Triple H,
Yeah.
like those guys. And then after that, once I got into it, I would go back and watch some of the older stuff with Ric Flair and The Rock and Stone Cold and, you know, those guys, the classic golden era.
Just classic stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say, and I don't know how, look, you probably trailed off after a while.
I did.
You
Yeah.
trailed off, and as well you should. Let me tell you, as a professional, now you are going into your job, you're getting married, you're having kids, you are trailing off. Did you find a slump of you trying to trail off and then got back into it, or?
I think initially starting, you know, my
Yeah,
career
yeah.
didn't have time to watch. Obviously, I was working mornings at the time then, so
Right.
not staying up watching the shows and everything like
Right.
that. But there's always something in the back of your mind that's like this, and you talk to somebody that's a wrestling fan, it just brings that love out.
There's a connection
It
point.
never goes away, really.
That's
Yeah.
exactly right. And that is what I really liked. Whenever I first started at Chesapeake Energy back in 2004, that was me putting everything on the shelf of all of the things that I really liked, all the hobbies and everything. I was like, I'm going to be an executive one day. I am going to be building my professional career, and all of these things kind of that are taking up a lot of time. I'm going to put those aside, and I loved watching it. I loved going to the events. I didn't really know why, but it was just something that just brought me around my friends and everything like that. But always in the back of my mind, I was like, maybe I could just throw it on for like 15 minutes and just watch a little bit tonight. Man, what's going on? You know, check the early internet days of the news and rumor sites and be like, oh man, that's interesting. I might check this out. It never really went away. It always kind of was in the back of my mind of, hey, this is fun, and it does bring people together. And so without talking to any Chesapeake people or anything. Anytime it would come through town or anytime I'd be able to see an event, I would definitely always go to it, always try to bring as many friends as possible. Well, those are the large companies. Those are the large companies, the nationally known companies, the world wrestling entertainment. But what I didn't know until the last probably 10, 15 years ago is that there's local chapters, and those are called indie wrestling feds. And indie wrestling feds are put together by not just fans, but people that are, I would say it's the minor leagues of what wrestling is. These are people that are training. These are putting their body on the line. They're going through different classes. There's a lots more that gets into it to see if they can get up to that national, like higher paid and national exposure level. So I started seeing a few of those in Oklahoma City, and they're really everywhere. And started going to a few of those just to check them out, and really not for a great reason. It was more of, hey, this is just going to be a little entertainment, and I might get a laugh out of this, like, because it's going to be bad. Like, it's not going to be what you see on TV. It's going to be pretty rough. I turned out absolutely loving it and the people. And so I've been able to kind of put my business spin on one of these local Oklahoma City chapters, and that has been a pet project of mine for a while. And so it's been something that I've been able to dedicate a lot of side time to. But you get to balance your professional life, the things that you've learned along the way in the professional life, and be able to put them into a completely different environment and to see how you can make things work. But as I was doing that, and as I was putting that together, I started seeing the different connection points of what I'd done in my actual business career. And that's what I'm also curious with you of, if you saw that too, like even in the news industry, because I can think of quite a few different connections that you would make of knowing where the hard cam is, knowing how to improvise, all sorts of different things. There's a lot of application to it. And so I have absolutely enjoyed it, still a part of it. And it's something that I get a lot of joy from.
So how would you classify it? Is it professional, semi-professional, amateur? Like,
it is.
Is there, I mean, we talked about the big names, but you said there's multiple leagues or like organizations. How does all of that
you want to take
organizationally?
Yeah, I mean, you have different promotions that kind of will pop up all over different places. I know a lot of the guys too that wrestle with Empire might go do a show in Kansas. They might go do a show in Arkansas. They're trying to get as many reps in as they can. But yeah, you have a Empire Pro Wrestling here in Oklahoma City, which is what I was a part of. Then you might drive, a couple hours to the west, and there's just another place that pops up, and they decided they have their own little promotion here where they're putting on shows for people. And really, it's about the heart that's behind it. Is we want for people to come out and have a good time, and we want to tell them a story along the way. And anybody that kind of has that desire and maybe has the skills or knowledge to be able to train and go do that, you'll see them all over the place. Yeah.
Okay.
And you said, is this professional?
Yeah.
You have to go get your license.
You do. Yeah.
There's a license for this?
I did not bring mine today. You have yours.
Always have my license on me.
I have my license. Colby, thank goodness you brought the props for it.
Official from the state of Oklahoma.
Professional wrestling license.
So you had to do that before you get in the ring.
That's right.
You the state athletic commission.
And so if he's going to Texas, he has to have a license there.
Yeah.
It's very legit. And so,
did you know it expired?
I did. Yeah. I'm trying to get it renewed. It's actually the next phone call.
We're gonna cut that out of this. We're cutting that. He's not.
I expect my new one in the mail any day.
So a real quick story on that. So I do not wrestle. Colby wrestles is what the main point of this story is. Colby is a newscaster by day, and he has gone through the training and absolutely amazing in the ring.
Name?
I'm just me.
Yeah, he's
just get to go out as me. Yeah. Okay. And I can give you the backstory too on that, how it actually got started. It was kind of a gimmick essentially, right? It was what they call a celebrity bring in. Oh, bring this guy in. He seems interested, and then I kind of just stuck around. I couldn't leave it. I was supposed to be one and done, and here we are, like a year later. I'm like, well, maybe one more match, maybe one more match. Yeah, it was great. I mean, it started out, and we can talk a little bit more about this and what Empire Pro Wrestling does for the community. But there was a great story. I'd actually been trying to tell a story with them for a while since I've been a reporter here. I was like, there's a story to tell in indie wrestling. It's fascinating. hear people that do make money doing this, but they're not making a ton of money. They're trying to get better and they're trying to make to the next level. And I was like, there's a story there. There's some interesting people. And I had been talking with the owner of Empire Pro Wrestling, and just kind of hadn't worked out. I moved to the mornings to going back to being an anchor. And I was like, I still want to tell this story. So I figured out a time. They're like, hey, here's a big event. There's a 7-year-old kid here in Oklahoma City. He's been battling cancer. And tonight, or this weekend show, we're going to do a big show for him. And all the proceeds that we make at the doors, it's all going to him and his family.
Oh, wow.
I was like, that's a great story that
Yeah.
you should see. So we went out there and we got there early so we get our B-roll and kind of, help tell the full picture of building the ring and doing the whole thing. And so when we got there early enough, they were doing some training before the match. And the owner just says, hey, why don't you hop in here, news guy, and take a bump. It's what they call when you hit the mat. And I was like, okay. He's like, you ever done it before? I was like, no. So they showed me how to do it, show me the proper technique. And he throws a clothesline. I take a clothesline. I'm like, well, now I got to sell it. So, doing the whole back thing. And afterwards, a couple of the guys came up and they're like, is that your first time doing this? Yeah. They're just like, that's pretty good, actually. And a couple months go by and, hadn't thought much about it. And I get a message again. It was like, hey, so Omar, it was the child that had been battling cancer. They're like, great news. Like, he's going to be ringing the bell here pretty soon. Like, he's battling cancer. He's doing great. And we believe he's going to be in remission. I was like, that's awesome. Fantastic news. Like, we're going to celebrate him at this match coming up in November. And we want you to be in it. I was like, okay. They're like, no, we want you to wrestle in it. I was like, okay.
Whoa.
So we started training, like last summer, and just a little bit at a time. And then after that match, I just kind of hung around.
You got the itch.
I got the itch.
Got the itch. And to all of our credits of where we've been going to these shows for a long time, you see those things like those celebrity guests that are going to be in, and you see that even on a national stage. They do that all the time.
Pat McAfee,
Pat McAfee, Jelly Roll recently wrestled. Don't look that one up.
Travis Scott,
like all of these. But most of the time, the people that haven't done a lot of training, you can venture to guess, not going to be that great in the ring. And we sat there absolutely in awe because Colby was fantastic in the ring, like absolutely fantastic. And so we were so happy that he wanted to stick around and he wanted to do more. And as he just said, to be able to tell a story of it's a silly sport. This is a silly sport of getting people together and doing something as interesting as pro wrestling, but the community driver of it is a completely different way to get a community involved and to be able to support different people, to be able to support different causes. We were able to take the wrestlers to the Oklahoma Children's Hospital and do wrestling entrances with all of them and let them hold belts and let them create their own personalized entrance. And for somebody who I enjoy seeing, I think we all do, you enjoy seeing kids just absolutely having the day of their life. And that was one of the things that hooked me into it so hard. And to now we're able to give, the children of Oklahoma Children's, anytime their families want to come to these events for free, sit on the front row, see their masked heroes or whatever wrestle, see Colby wrestle, they can do that. And it's absolutely magical to watch.
Okay, so I got to ask, that mat, how hard is it? It sounds really loud, right?
Yeah, it is not soft. The first time I was telling you about getting in the ring that first time and hitting
that clothesline,
I literally my head's spinning. I'm like, oh my gosh, is that what it feels like every single time? They're like, yeah, but you get we call it a back callus. The more times you do it.
Oh.
So, and it's true. Like, I feel like if I went out and landed on the ring right now, I'd be like, oh, I'm fine. It's all about landing the right way. You want to hit the meat of your back. And, but it is, it's pretty hard. It's pretty hard. It's not soft at all. Yeah. It's like a wrestling mat that's about that thin over some, I don't want to give any industry secrets. It's a wrestling that's about that thin over just basically pieces of wood.
Yeah.
Okay. So how long have you been doing this?
It's about a year.
About a year.
Yeah. A little over a year.
So your license only lasts a year?
Yeah.
November to November,
That's
I think,
crazy.
or June to June.
June to June.
June to June. Is what it is.
Which is good. I mean, they keep, make sure that you're healthy and making sure you're following all the state guidelines.
And then how long have you been involved?
I've been involved for about 3 years now.
Okay.
And so the quickest version of the story that whenever I went to get my license, you have to get physical, You have to get tested for
So even though you're not a wrestler, you still have to have
just to
license.
get in the ring.
Just to get in
because
the ring.
because my role, I'll have to be in the ring. I'll have to help
Okay.
out with some stuff every once in a while. So I have to be licensed. I go through. They do blood work. They do a lot of these different things, and they're making sure everybody's safe. And I get not a problem with any of it. Everything's signed off, and it says your blood work's come back, and there's 3 different tests. And I'm not going to go into the tests, but we can all imagine what the tests are. But they're looking for stuff. It says on the first 2 tests, negative, no big deal. On the 3rd test, it said a doctor is going to call you. And it was the first time sitting at my desk, like you kind of get the hand shaking a little bit. And I was like, well, hold on. Why is the doctor calling me? What's happening here? I went through every range of emotion and finally settled on, I am not long for this world. Like I'm out of here. I'm done with this. And about an hour later, the doctor called and he said, hey, I know you saw that on there. And I'm like, my voice is cracking. And he says, just letting you know that those tests actually come back in like 72 hours. I didn't want you to worry. So I wanted to call you and tell you that it was going to take a little while longer.
Coming in 72 hours.
Could have let me know that. The last few hours have been a little rough. But no, it's fun to get that back every year and to make sure that, again, something as silly as professional wrestling, the nice thing that I can tell you, and the reason that I like getting involved with this is doing things the right way, crossing all the boxes and making sure that your people are safe. The people that are taking those bumps in the ring are doing it the safe way, the training that goes into it. And it makes a difference of training. Training helps with everything.
Yeah. I trained for probably 4 months before that first match and was once to twice a week. And really, even that amount of training, I was still very, very new.
For sure.
Before, a lot of these guys will train for an entire year or more before getting in the ring and going through a first match. Yeah.
So you've had some time, 3 years, 1 year, but you both have had some time on this. What are things how has being involved in this enhanced other pursuits or endeavors in your life? Like, how have you seen this help you professionally or personally? I mean, obviously there's like physical fitness regimen, I assume, that goes along with this, but like, what are things that you've learned from this experience that you've begun to see creep into how you handle other aspects of your lives?
I want to start on this one?
Either way.
I think for me, you talk about the community aspect of it, and we've hit on it a couple of times. I started watching it with my brother and my cousins, 2 cousins. And it was something that we kind of, I think maybe started watching it just kind of like, oh, it's wrestling's on. Let's, it's a joke, just some middle school guys. And eventually it's something that bonded us. And to this day, we'll still text each other about, something in wrestling. And sadly, a few years ago, one of those cousins passed away. And it's so I think for me, it's something that's like a deep family connection in a sense. And I think you see that in the community that brings the community together in that same way. Where I'm going to shows with Empire Pro Wrestling, I'm seeing the same people over and again, and I've gotten to know them quite well. And then the brotherhood, I think, with those that have gone through it and know what it's like to be in the ring, those wrestlers backstage, it's a pretty tight bond. And it feels something similar to how I felt with my brother and my cousins when we were watching it together. So
that's fantastic.
When you have those things that can really connect you, it's really a bond that you don't likely forget. Yeah.
For sure. I think after being, and that's exactly right. The connection between the crowd is what I love more than anything. And to be able to, as I said earlier, to be able to make somebody go from a mediocre day to a fantastic day. I feel like that's one of the things that I just am here for, like I just absolutely enjoy it. In looking at professional life and in looking at the different roles of leadership that I've got to play through Chesapeake and through Land Vantage and in here at Novus, I see a lot of improvisation in the wrestling world. And what I mean by that is, and I think we can kind of all think about this of, you have so many different things that you're working on each day. You have different projects, you have different tasks that you're tasked with by either the leadership team, or you're looking at the news and there's acquisitions and divestitures going on. And I feel like we're always on our toes from day to day. There's things that we can plan on and there's things that we can't plan on. In the wrestling world, chaos is king.
Mm-hmm.
And chaos is what sells tickets. Chaos is what you have to be very,
like scripted chaos or unorganized chaos.
I think a little bit of both.
Okay.
I think the chaos is certainly scripted, but everyone is going to handle that in different ways. And so from my side of it is I want to produce and I want to make sure that the show goes off without a hitch. And I want to make sure that all of the wrestlers not only are safe, but we will have last minute things go absolutely awry, whether that be, I could give a million examples of things where things have gone absolutely on fire. The ring breaks in the middle of the show. How do you anticipate these 1,000 different things that can go wrong? Well, the way that we do it is thinking back, just like what we would do at Chesapeake, or just like what we would do here at Novus, we try to pre-plan those. We try to pre-plan what happens if this happens. And to make those game plans out and to be able to say, okay, I think we've covered 80 to 90% of the potential of what could go wrong. And then I, as a leader there, can go through beforehand and say, okay, this is what we're doing and this is how we're training for it. And that's making everyone around us sharper. And for a group of, I would say for a group of people that have come together that they like to fly, kind of like what we talk about with this podcast, to kind of shoot from the hip and just fly by the seat of our pants with it. You see how much difference can be made, even with a little bit of training put involved. Where with the news for you, I'm sure there's times and I have never sat in your seat, but I'm sure there's times where a teleprompter goes out. I'm sure there's times where there's things that have happened that you have to immediately, you are on and the red light's on, and you have to figure out how to take care of the situation like that, right?
Every day.
And do you think
Not
there's
the prompter specifically, but some things? I mean, that's exactly right. I think for our producers, when they go in and they've written an entire show, it can be hard too for them, because suddenly there's news that breaks. My gosh, this big thing just happened across town. We don't have it. The show's out.
Yeah.
And then suddenly we don't have scripts. And so we're filling, we have I'll give you an example. We had winter weather here last winter. We were in 8 hours of coverage. I didn't have one script. So you're spending 8 hours and you're watching, you're talking to people, you're trying to get the latest information. All of that's on the fly. And I think, in fact, when I started news, I almost thought about joining an improv theater, because even on a typical show where you have a scripted newscast, you're going to have moments with the meteorologist or with your co-anchor where you're just on, shooting on the fly. And I was like, maybe I should take some improv classes just to get better at this. Well, the improv class I chose was wrestling. I don't know if that was the exact plan that I had in mind, but it's a lot of improv. And even in the ring, I think a lot of people think this is an entirely choreographed script, like the opening number at the Oscars or something. It's not that way. It's a lot of these guys that have been doing it a long time might have 3 points that they want to hit in this match. We know it's going this way, this person's going over, but what happens in between, that is all on the fly, and you got to figure it out. And I ran into that in my second match where I was like, oh, shoot, what do I do now? What do I do now? You can't, the show must go on. So you just keep going. And I think it helps in what I do, especially in the morning. We have a lot of breaking news. So there might be a lot of stories that we're just trying to ad lib on the fly. And so it is helpful.
That's really cool.
In our professional realms, we all have bosses, or we have managers or supervisors or people that we answer to, or that we're trying to please, or that we're trying to satisfy, or we're trying to, do a good job for. Would you say that who is your bot? Is the audience, or is that who you're trying to please, or like who are you trying to make happy, and what are you doing to make sure that they're satisfied with what your product is?
So I would say the audience is definitely the key focus of the whole thing. Like, they are the ones that are they're trusting you enough that they're going to pay a ticket price to be able to come into it. They're trusting enough that they're going to get entertainment out of this. And so you have to find the most effective way to give, whether that be a 5-year-old kid or a 95-year-old guy in a wheelchair, give them that experience to where they get to connect with someone. And so do you know what good guys are called, kind of the behind the scenes wrestling language? Good guys are called one thing and bad guys are called another, kind of in the behind the scenes.
Okay, so there legit is like
There's
the
two
good
different
guys and the bad guys.
Uh-huh.
Okay, because I mean that's the perception I have on it.
Right.
But no, I have no idea.
So bad guys are called
Heels.
Heels.
Okay. So bad
You're a
guys.
real heel.
You're in our duo here.
That hurt when you said
Yeah, in our podcasting, you are probably the heel.
I am the heel.
The
Okay.
less likable
Okay.
of the two
Okay.
is what I want to say. Now, the good guys, if bad guys are the heels, and somebody out there might know this, what would you think the good guys are called?
the toes.
Almost, but no,
The face or baby face.
or the
face.
baby face, and that goes back to
Is there a difference between face and baby face?
not really.
Oh, okay.
Not really. But that goes even back to the early days of wrestling. Baby faces were generally the clean cut, handsome fellas.
I asked if I could
Why
play.
are you so handsome? That's the question that I
Sorry.
really wanted to ask.
So I
Oh,
asked
yeah.
if I could be a heel.
He
They were
can't
like,
be.
no.
With a box like this, are you kidding me? This guy, then not a chance.
The secret is to wake up to where you're at work at 3 a.m. every day.
That's exactly right. Good workout routine and good haircut. You're good to go.
Maybe if I do it long enough, I'll become a heel. I don't
There
know.
you
go.
We'll see. That's-
No, age takes care of that. Let me tell you, it's working on me. But you want to make sure that the audience resonates with the faces and the heels, that the bad guy gets what's coming to him. The good guy might be down on his count. He might be down on his luck. He might be 1 second away from having the worst thing possible happen. He may be 5'1", and that bad guy may be towering over him at 7'3". But all of a sudden, that little guy starts popping shots, and everybody, I think, can relate to that. Of where you like to see the underdog come back. You like to. We all associate with that. We like to see people victorious, a redemption story. We like to see a arc of someone coming up and just valiantly winning the day. And not all of our shows go that way because there is storyline involved, and so you want to expand that out, and that gets people really involved with it. And so it's a very neat process to put together.
People like Justice too.
That's right. Oh, they do. They love
And
Justice.
it might have been 3 weeks or 2 months ago, or whenever I came to the show last. That guy right there cheated and won.
Yeah.
That's not cool. Now I'm coming back this next month later. Is he going to get what's coming to him, and who's going to be the person that delivers it? And it's that kind of it's life,
It
right?
is.
You're telling life in a very 16 by 16 ring. It's essentially it.
So there's a story each night, but then there's an overarching story that continues.
It can, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I mean, I think about if you're looking at the professional level where you're every single week, you're in a new city doing a new show and you're on live TV, and then you got pay-per-views coming up. That's a story arc that they might stretch out over 6 months
Yeah.
until it finally gets that payoff. A lot of the times at a big event like WrestleMania, something like
And
that.
it's boiling pot to the head of you want to create that boil last as long as it can, to where people will continue to support, and it gains support and it gains traction, it gains eyes, all the way to that fervor that it builds, where you just can release it and it immediately makes new fans. It immediately, if we're talking like social videos or anything like that, social media, those are the videos of people just absolutely erupting and jumping out of their seat. And we've been so fortunate. We started 3 years ago with a fan base of about 30 to 40 people that would come to these. And we've been able to put a lot of very strong practices in place, put a lot of business sense in on it, being able to put a lot of practical knowledge of what we've learned from the seminars that we've been to the conversations that we've had with other people that have grown up with it. But now we have 250 plus that show up for any one of the shows, and it's only growing. And that's very exciting. Very exciting.
I would think that a lot of times when people tell, or when somebody tells a story, whether they're communicating that story through a movie or through a song, they're hoping that they can inspire someone.
Absolutely.
And so in your production, when you're telling your story, through the demonstration of your craft, what is the inspiration that you're hoping somebody will walk away having?
Hmm.
Or have you ever had somebody tell you or make a comment later on, is like, that, I don't, that changed me. That sounds kind of silly to say, but has there been an interaction or story that has happened that you think might have inspired somebody in a way that they weren't anticipating?
That is almost, I don't want to say too deep for the wrestling world, but boy, that's right there. It's right on the edge. I think going back to, you have to find the fine line between the reality and the fiction of it, right? I think we can tell a story in the ring that is going to get people on an emotional level of where uh, they feel excited, they feel happy, they get to high five their kids. Their kids absolutely lose their mind to be able to hang up an autograph of somebody like Colby, like on a headshot or something. Like they love this stuff, and we're able to bring in bigger stars from all around the nation, um, maybe one or two like every quarter. And they're able to see some people that will be up on that national level, and they'll see them on TV every week. And that's very inspiring. But for me personally, it's the things like Colby coming in and interviewing Omar, and to know there's not a, and I want to be very uh, I want to be very specific when I say this. Of sometimes people can't afford to go to a Thunder game, or they can't afford to go to a Mavericks game, or they can't afford to go to a Cowboys game, or like they get priced out. And there's all sorts of other things that you can get involved with. And something like this provides that good entertainment on a very minimal price, um, to where we can help provide maybe a level of wholesome entertainment for people that otherwise might not get that. Or we can provide them on a level of production to where it feels like they're going to a show that is overproduced, that is a national level, something absolutely just phenomenal. And when they walk out of it, we see so many people going,
Yeah.
and for me, I think that hopefully inspires others to do the same. And I'm not saying get involved with wrestling. I'm not saying we don't need the competition. Is what I'm saying. No, I kid about that. If finding something that you can do that helps inspire, and I think this is something that helps the community. I think this is something that can help kids that need it, and also can give back to a wonderful message of providing hope for people that may be diagnosed with an illness. And if we can give back financially to that, absolutely.
Yeah. And I think too, really what you're talking about, having something to take away, it goes back to the power of storytelling. 'Cause a lot of people that are there, and it's true in anything. When you're hearing a story or you're seeing a story being told, you, in a sense, imagine yourself in their place. What would I do if I were the hero in this moment? How would I feel? How would I take on that disappointment of losing that big match? You do, through storytelling, identify with the characters in the story in a sense. And so maybe it is inspiring for somebody to
Yeah.
see that guy that they've been looking at. Oh, that's my guy.
Yeah.
And he won. What would I do? How could I rise to that same level? And I've thought about this in my career, and I don't know if it's chicken or egg. If I started being this way in my news writing
Yeah.
because I watch wrestling, or
Right.
if I like wrestling now and kind of attached to it because of the way I like to tell stories in news. But something I heard a long time ago from somebody in my industry, that anybody can regurgitate information. That's what people go to Twitter for that.
Yeah.
But they come back time and again because they want a connection. They want a story.
Okay.
And I tried to write this in the stories we tell. It might be an important issue. There might be a lot of facts. Certainly in anything, but you got to find that person that's going to tell that story through their eyes, and that's who your viewers connect with. Maybe
That's right.
maybe it's just a city septic systems problem, right? It's something you can
Yeah.
think as mundane as possible, but there is one neighbor out there that is a character and has a story, and this is affecting his life. And if you can connect him with the audience, they're going to care a lot more about that issue than if you just threw out some facts and numbers at them, right?
That's
Yeah.
right.
People connect with stories, and it's not just in news, it's really in any industry. I think it was Dale Carnegie, right? Said that there's no sweeter sound than a person's own name. And I think in my eyes, there's nothing sweeter than a connection through somebody's eyes.
Well, and that's a very valuable lesson for the profession that we have in as landmen or land professionals, or, you know, people who are dealing with, whether it be the landowners who own the land, or the mineral owners that we're trying to lease, or the royalty owners that we're, you know, getting division orders and things from, and trying to resolve conflicts in there. A meaningful connection with those individuals always makes it go that much smoother.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes it go that much easier. So being able to see, you know, how that connection transcends, or how it overlaps into various other facets, it's just, I mean, it's an important lesson for life.
That's exactly right.
So Babyface here is young. it was he's got a lot of life ahead of him. Drew, you're kind of hitting
Easy.
You're kind of hitting top of the hill.
Easy
right
now, right? Right.
You said I was watching wrestling in the city.
I know. I regretted it. I regretted it right whenever I said it, honestly.
But I don't want to say that you've started this later in life.
Right.
But you've definitely started it well into your life.
For sure.
And this is a passion that you identified. It's something that you thought would be fun, that would be reinvigorating for you.
Yeah.
I guess, is there inspiration that can be taken from that we're never too old to start something new?
Yes. I mean, obviously, yes. I looked around at, there's so many organizations in Texas and Oklahoma, across the nation, that you can get involved with. I mean, ranging from, you know, rec leagues and churches, and being able to do community, like community gardens and things like that. There's so many good ones. And I looked at all of them here, and through the energy industry, we see how often the people they're cutting checks for them, and they're giving funding for this. And there's a lot of them that are really taken care of. And I knew that I would be so excited to be able to join any one of those. And there's some wonderful ones out there. With this was one of those things where I thought, this is an overlooked one. This is something that is not ever thought of as a charity. This isn't anything thought of as a community giving back, but it's a little off the beaten path. And I thought, loved it as a kid. I know enough about how we can make this into something special that I think that we could actually do something for Oklahoma City in that vein. And I'm really proud of what we've been able to put together. But yeah, you're never too old. And to be able to find something that gives you, I don't want to say it's not a purpose, it's a passion project.
Yeah.
And it's something that I absolutely enjoy. And I enjoy, like Colby said, the people that I get to be with, this would not have been a group of friends that I would have initially sought out. But after 2.5 years, I have some fantastic friends from it. I look forward to seeing them every month. I look forward to our little chat rooms of figuring out how we're going to make the next one better than the last one. And it's something where I hope I can continue to do it for many, many years to come. But I also hope I've set it up in a way to where the next people that are able to take it over can even take it further, and which is the real hope.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Colby, thank you so much for being here with us.
My pleasure,
today.
guys. I loved it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Do you have any departing words, or any wisdom, or any nuggets that you want to share? Any secrets?
That's the macho. In other words,
I immediately, my eyes perked up, and I was like, "Ooh, yes."
That would be my wisdom. Yeah. No, I think, look, just along the same lines that Drew was saying, I'm actually not that early in my life for wrestling years I was 32 when we started doing this. And I was like, I'm not a spring chicken to be getting thrown around in a ring. Then my wife asked me if it was a midlife crisis when I first started, and I don't know, maybe. But really what it was just this thing that I've always loved and been passionate about. And once the door opened, that's what I would say. Like, when the door opens, there's something that you love and that you care about. There was a lot of fear, I will say, about, what's my job? I think about this.
Yeah.
It's kind of dangerous. I have 2 small kids. I mean, there's a lot of things that go through your head, but in the end, it was one of those things where I'm so glad I just jumped in, because I knew that I cared about it. And not only did it, I hope it showed in what we were involved in, but it kind of poured over into the rest of my life as well. Like with my kids, we're watching it together now, and there's been a special relationship there. And at work, I've certainly gotten a different reputation. I will say that. But the first thing that viewers will come up and say to me is like, did you really do that? I'm like, yeah, really did. And then they got all kinds of comments and
Oh,
questions.
yeah.
It's a connection that I built with them that I might have never had before if I hadn't been willing to take the risk. And sometimes things worth doing they require some risk, and I'm glad that I took the opportunity and took the risk.
Love that. It's a great final word, great final lesson there.
That's
that
that's-
take that risk to do something that'll be fulfilling for you,
Especially if you love it.
especially if you love it. Right on.
Exactly right.
Well, wonderful. So again, thank you to the Dallas-Fort Worth chapter of NALTA. Thank you for allowing us to do something a little bit outside the box today. This has been great being able to converse with you. Again, thank you to Pack Energy for their sponsorship and their support of this episode. Remember to check out their website and services in the resources section for more fantastic insights, webinars, and conversations. Also, thanks to the others who help us out on every episode: Scrambled, Novus Consulting, Roland AI, and Anchored Innovations.
What do they do?
Nobody knows what they do. But from Drew Hopkins, Jerris Johnson, Colby Thelen, thank you so much for joining us, for being here, and we will see you next time.
Thank you all.